I was laughing today. I saw a French commentator on CNBC Europe real early this morning, and the guy was talking about the Bernanke comments and the Fed comments and what they had to say recently about what the Fed was going to do. And the guy was so blunt, he said, it was a joke. He says, they're talking about a strong dollar. And they said, well, what do you mean a strong dollar? Timothy Geithner, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, recently was talking about, I mean, it's like, talk about feeble words. And when they can talk so blatantly like that in Europe, that, you know, the Bernanke, our U.S. comments, it's really a joke. We're doing nothing about our problems. They're getting worse and worse and worse. I think it was the other day they were making a big deal out of a $35 billion deficit and a new budget, whatever they were doing, and in the 4 days during which they were talking about it, it went up another $38 billion.
Yeah.
It's just out of control, and we're not dealing with it in the U.S.
Yeah, that's key. It is out of control. I think that's one of the reasons why I've been talking about a waterfall decline in the dollar. I've been doing this on King World News as well as other places, and the other day I did a blog with Eric King saying that, you know, the waterfall decline begins now. I was using the Bernanke press conference as the turning point and saying that years from now we'll look back to 2011 and say this is the year that the waterfall decline in the dollar began. And before the coming down here this morning and doing this discussion, I checked prices, and the dollar index is under 73. Closing in on its all-time low in the 71 area. Do you expect that low to be taken out soon?
I would think so. I think that's what the markets are telling us. And I think it's going to be, you know, quite extraordinary, because, you know, when those events happen, they can feed on themselves, and it can get quite dramatic. And I don't think I know in America, people don't realize the ramifications in terms of inflation and standard of living, and but it's clear. I mean, the United States, our inflation levels are picking up everywhere you look, and yet they're making sure that interest rates stay exactly where they are, right above zero, and long-term rates, the Treasury rates stay below the yield on the 10-year note below 3.5%. And it's artificially creating all this situation where money's going to go into real things, and especially gold and silver.
Yeah, that's why I use the term waterfall decline, because it's something that can really gather momentum when confidence breaks, and I think that's what's happening. You also raise a good point about, you know, people are sort of asleep at the switch within the U.S. You know, when a currency collapses, it comes, the recognition that a currency is about to collapse comes first from outside of the country. You know, people who are holding dollars outside of the country recognize it first, and they start getting rid of their dollars, so you see the dollar decline on foreign exchange markets. But within the country, you know, because people are getting their salaries and being paid in dollars, and they're using dollars at the grocery store or at the gas station, you know, they're a little bit slower to understand what's actually happening to the currency. But, you know, given what's going on in gold and given what's going on in silver, it suggests to me that we really are sort of near a collapse of the currency, and that gold and silver could rocket higher. Are you planning to put the GATA rockets on your website anytime soon?
Every time I put up the GATA rockets and the GATA sign, I get grief, because it's usually a top when I get that excited. So I've been banned from putting them up but I might just have to do something. At least then it can alert maybe our people that maybe they should take some profits.
I mean, given that silver's up 150% over the past year, as a commodity trader, what would you normally think? This is obviously, you know, a very rare event.
It's a rare event.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I just wrote the other day that it may be unprecedented in market history, because, as I mentioned, the silver market is extremely overbought technically and still extremely oversold fundamentally. Mm-hmm. Some of the shorts don't have they've been found out. They don't have the physical silver, and the big money, the smart money, knows it, and they're going after them. And I think it could be something that no one's ever seen before, and it's going to be spectacular. Yes, we're at lofty levels, and we're close to that magic 50 number, and there's only been two higher silver fixes, two or three in history, that back when silver made the move in 1980 under the Hans. Once you take that number out, who's to say? And if the dollar's collapsing at the same time and the shorts don't have the silver, what are they going to do? And of course, God has exposed this thing. And, you know, people say, well, there's going to be a default, a force majeure, and the exchange is going to let the big shorts out. Well, wait a second here. The CFTC has been told by these major shorts that they're hedged. Oh, what do you mean? Well, if you're hedged, deliver.
Yeah.
because of the size of their massive short positions. Then there's been a CFTC investigation for 2.5 years. Well, all of a sudden you have, this is what the Gata camp and people like Ted Butler have been screaming about and saying foul, foul, foul. How can you then have that happen if you did nothing? And then there's the 25 lawsuits against some of the major shorts. It's going to be a stink beyond belief. And maybe that'll bring, get Gata some attention to focus on some of these, give us the attention so we can focus on these issues and how this could have happened, because there's some people that should pay for this, big time.
Will it be a government bailout of the shorts?
You know, it's interesting because in some markets, maybe you could get bailed out, but the government doesn't have the silver either.
No, they don't have the silver, but they have the printing press.
They have the printing press, and what
if
price?
you're short silver and you have a printing press and you can deliver, create as many dollars as you want, do you really care if you're short?
Well, the question is at what price? I mean, at 50 is one thing. At 100, 150, we're going to tell what they say. There's some serious money is going to start mounting on the short now.
But the dollar, by the same token, is going to continue declining.
Well, here and if in fact, because this is where Gata would come from, if you put that money along with the paying interest on their treasury notes and so on, and the value of real estate by doing what they can by keeping interest rates low, the stock markets. The dollar, or doing whatever they can, the money lost in silver, no matter what it is still to trifle. But it's still going to be some pretty big money.